From the cold vacuum of space, whispers claimed you could see it gleaming like a vein of silver across the earth. A colossal scar etched by human hands, defying gravity, time, and the very limits of endurance. The only structure built by mortals visible from the moon itself. But that is a carefully crafted myth designed to awe and mislead. What lies beneath the legend is something far more gripping, more raw, and infinitely more human. A wall not forged in one triumphant era, but pieced together through centuries of unrelenting terror, rivers of sweat and blood, and the unbreakable spirit of a civilization on the brink. This is the true saga of the Great Wall of China, a dragon of stone that roared against invading hordes, only to face threats from within its own scales. Prepare to uncover secrets buried for millennia, because once you step onto its path, there's no turning back. Imagine a barrier so immense it could encircle the Earth at the equator more than half a time. Over 21,196 kilometers of unyielding stone, rammed earth, brick, and timber, weaving through scorching deserts, treacherous mountain passes, and lush river valleys. It is not merely one continuous wall, as popular imagination might suggest, but a complex network of fortifications, watchtowers, beacon stations, and natural defenses, constructed, demolished, and rebuilt across more than 20 dozen dynasties. From its humble origins as scattered earthen ramparts in the 7th century BCE to its zenith under the mighty Ming emperors, the Great Wall stood as China's ultimate shield, a physical manifestation of the empire's isolationist philosophy, designed to repel the relentless nomadic tribes thundering from the northern steppes. Yet this was no simple engineering feat. It was a symphony of human ambition and desperation. Millions toiled under the sun and stars, their lives woven into its very mortar. It symbolized power, unity, and defiance, but also the heavy toll of fear and control. In this documentary, we embark on a chronological odyssey along its spine, unraveling the wall's birth amid warring chaos, its expansions through golden ages and dark invasions, the myths that cloak it in mystery, the brutal challenges it faced, and its precarious fight for survival in our modern era. But beware, as we delve deeper, questions arise that challenge everything you thought you knew. Was it truly impenetrable? Did it save China or doom it? And what hidden forces now threaten to erase this wonder forever? Hold on tight. The dragon awakens, and its tale is about to unfold in ways that will leave you breathless. To understand the Great Wall, we must journey back to a time when China was not one nation, but a fractured mosaic of rival kingdoms locked in eternal strife, the Warring States period from 475 to 221 BCE. Each state, paranoid and vulnerable, erected its own rudimentary defenses against the others, and more terrifyingly, against the nomadic horsemen of the north, the Xiongnu, Rong, and Di tribes, who raided with the speed of desert winds, leaving villages in flames and families shattered. These early walls were modest, mounds of compacted soil reinforced with wood and stone, often no more than a few meters high. The state of Qi built one along its borders, Chu fortified its southern flanks, Wei and Zhao pushed barriers northward. But these were isolated efforts, riddled with gaps, more symbolic gestures than ironclad protections. Then, in a blaze of conquest that reshaped history, a visionary, or tyrant depending on the scroll you read, emerged. Qin Shi Huang, born Ying Zheng in 259 BCE, ascended the throne of Qin at just 13 years old. Through cunning alliances, brutal military reforms, and an iron fist, he systematically dismantled the other 6 states, unifying China for the first time in 221 BCE and proclaiming himself Shi Huangdi, the first emperor. His vision was total: standardize weights, measures, currency, even the written script. But his greatest obsession? Security. The northern nomads, led by the fierce Xiongnu Confederacy, posed an existential threat, their cavalry capable of striking deep into the heartland. So Qin issued a decree that would echo through the ages: connect the disparate walls into one unbroken chain. Under the command of his trusted general, Meng Tian, an army of 300,000 soldiers and perhaps twice as many conscripted laborers, farmers, criminals, scholars who dared criticize the regime were mobilized. Picture the scale of this endeavor: workers trudging through blistering summers and bone-chilling winters, hauling stones the size of small carts up cliffs, using nothing but bamboo ramps, ropes, and sheer muscle. They employed innovative techniques, tamping earth with wooden mallets in layers, mixing sticky rice mortar for strength in later sections. But innovation came at a price. Archaeological evidence from sites like the Ordos Loop reveals mass graves, tools abandoned mid-task, testifying to the horror. Historians drawing from Sima Qian's records of the great historian estimate up to 1 million lives lost to exhaustion, starvation, disease, and execution for dissent. Legends whisper that the dead were interred within the wall itself, their spirits forever guarding the empire. By 214 BCE, the Qin walls stretched from Lintao in the west to Liaodong in the east, over 5,000 kilometers of rammed earth, punctuated by watchtowers and garrisons. It was a marvel, but fragile. Erosion claimed much of it within decades. Yet, as the laborers' cries faded into the wind, a chilling question lingered in the emperor's opulent palaces. Would this colossal sacrifice hold back the shadows gathering on the horizon? Or had Qin merely constructed the grandest monument to his own hubris? The answer would come sooner than anyone imagined, and it would be drenched in blood. The fall of the Qin in 206 BCE, amid peasant uprisings and internal betrayal, could have spelled the end for the wall. But the succeeding Han dynasty, 206 BCE to 220 CE, saw its potential and expanded it aggressively. Emperor Wu of Han, a warrior king with dreams of empire, pushed the fortifications westward into the arid Gobi Desert, securing the lucrative Silk Road trade routes that brought spices, jade, and ideas from distant Rome and Persia. Han engineers revolutionized defense. They introduced the Yantai system, beacon towers every few kilometers, using wolf dung smoke by day, thick and black for visibility, and massive bonfires by night, relaying messages at speeds modern armies would envy. A single alert could traverse 1,000 kilometers in a day, summoning reinforcements before invaders could vanish back into the steppes. Excavations at sites like Yumen Pass reveal granaries stocked for sieges, horse stables, and even signal flags for nuanced communications. For over 400 years the Han Wall held, but cracks appeared. The Xiongnu, under leaders like Modu Shonyu, probed relentlessly, sometimes bribing guards or exploiting weak points. One infamous breach in 129 BCE saw Han forces counterattack, but at tremendous cost. Centuries of intermittent peace and war followed, with dynasties like the Northern Wei and Qi adding layers in the 5th and 6th centuries CE, incorporating natural barriers like rivers and cliffs for efficiency. These middle walls were shorter but sturdier, built with quarried stone and early lime mortar. Then the true Golden Age, or Era of Paranoia, dawned with the Ming Dynasty in 1368 CE. Haunted by the memory of Mongol conquests under Genghis Khan and Kublai Khan, who had overrun Song defenses in the 13th century by simply circumventing or scaling earlier walls, the Ming emperors, starting with Zhu Yuanzhang, vowed never to repeat that mistake. They invested staggering resources, over 25 million taels of silver annually at peak, equivalent to billions today. The Ming Wall, spanning 8,850 kilometers, was a masterpiece of military architecture. Double-layered in places, with outer rammed earth and inner brick facings, up to 12 meters high and 6 meters thick at the base, tapering, allowing defenders to rain arrows and boiling oil from above. Watchtowers rose every 500 meters, some multi-story with arrow slits and cannon ports, a nod to emerging gunpowder technology. Passes like Juyongguan featured intricate gate systems with multiple layers, traps, and kill zones. Life on the wall was a grim vigil. Soldiers rotated in 3-year shifts, farming nearby lands to sustain themselves, always alert for the dust clouds signaling approaching raiders. Ming records detail protocols, false alarms punishable by death, successful defenses rewarded with promotions. But suspense mounted in the 16th century as Oirat Mongols under Essen Taishi tested the limits. In 1449, they captured Emperor Yingzong himself in the Tumu crisis, a humiliating breach that spurred even more fortifications. The ultimate test arrived in 1644. The Manchu armies, descendants of the Jurchens, amassed beyond Shanhai Pass, the wall's eastern gateway to the sea. Beacons flared across the night sky, garrisons braced, cannon loaded. Yet, in a twist of fate that rivals any thriller, internal rebellion doomed the Ming. Rebel leader Li Zicheng captured Beijing, and desperate Ming general Wu Sangui opened the gates to the Manchus as allies, only for them to seize the throne and establish the Qing dynasty. The wall, after enduring for millennia, had been undone not by brute force but by the fragility of human loyalty. Its stones stood silent witnesses to an empire's collapse. But was this the end? Far from it, the dragon's story was only half told, with legends waiting to breathe life into its cold embrace. No monument of such scale escapes the shroud of myth, and the Great Wall is draped in tales that blur the line between history and folklore, captivating hearts while concealing harsh truths. Chief among them is the legend of Meng Jiangnu, a story passed down through oral traditions and immortalized in ballads during the Tang dynasty. In the brutal days of Qin construction, a young scholar named Fan Shiliang was torn from his bride Meng Jiangnu on their wedding night, conscripted to the northern frontiers. Months turned to seasons as she waited, sewing warm clothes against the biting cold. Finally, unable to bear the silence, she embarked on an epic pilgrimage, crossing swollen rivers, scaling forbidding mountains, braving bandits and wild beasts. Upon arrival, the devastating news. Fan had perished from overwork, his body unceremoniously entombed within the wall to strengthen its foundations. Meng's sorrow erupted in wails that pierced the heavens. Tears streamed endlessly, and miracle or metaphor, a massive section, some say 800 li or 400 kilometers, crumbled away, exposing the bones of the fallen, including her beloved. Emperor Qin, alerted to the commotion, arrived in splendor and was struck by her ethereal beauty. He demanded she become his consort. Feigning consent, Meng requested 3 honors: a grand state funeral for Fan, the emperor himself in mourning garb, and a final rite by the sea. As the waves lapped, she hurled herself into the depths, a final act of defiance. Today, her temple at Shanhai Guan draws pilgrims, a poignant reminder that behind every stone lies a story of loss. Other legends abound, ghosts of laborers haunting remote sections, their moans carried on the wind, or the 9 dragons motif, where the wall's path mimic mythical serpents guarding the realm. Yet not all myths endure scrutiny. The most pervasive, that the wall is visible from space, originated in the 18th century, but gained traction with NASA's Apollo missions. Astronauts like Neil Armstrong debunked it unequivocally. From low Earth orbit, it's barely discernible amid rivers and roads. From the moon, utterly invisible. As one cosmonaut quipped, the only thing visible from space is the human impact on our fragile planet. These tales mask deeper challenges, the wall's ineffectiveness against determined foes. Genghis Khan famously bypassed it in 1211 by allying with defectors. Later breaches highlighted its vulnerability to espionage and neglect. Erosion, earthquakes, and human encroachment further tested its resilience, with sections vanishing under sand or repurposed for villages. What secrets do these crumbling ruins still hold? Archaeologists uncover artifacts daily: arrowheads, pottery, even inscribed bricks bearing workers' names, each a clue to untold struggles. But as we turn to the present, a new peril emerges, one that no emperor could foresee. In the 21st century, the Great Wall transcends its military origins, evolving into a global icon of cultural heritage and resilience. Recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1987, it draws over 10 million visitors annually to sites like Badaling and Jinshanling, where one can hike battlements, gaze at panoramic vistas, and ponder the echoes of history. It symbolizes China's enduring spirit, featured in films, literature, and even the 2008 Beijing Olympic torch relay. Economically, it fuels tourism revenues exceeding $2 billion yearly, supporting local communities through handicrafts, guided tours, and eco-lodges. Yet this popularity is a double-edged sword. The wall faces unprecedented threats. Climate change accelerates erosion with fiercer storms and desertification. Unchecked development encroaches, with highways and mines nibbing at its edges. Vandals etch graffiti, thieves pilfer bricks for souvenirs or construction. Alarmingly, surveys by the China Great Wall Society reveal that only 8.2% remains in good condition, 74% is poorly preserved, and 20% has entirely vanished. In response, China has mobilized like a modern dynasty. The 2006 Great Wall Protection Ordinance imposes fines up to 500,000 yuan for damage. High-tech guardians, drones, AI cameras, and satellite monitoring patrol vast stretches. Major restorations, like the 2019 Jiankong project, funded by Tencent, blend traditional methods with sustainable materials. International collaborations with UNESCO and organizations like the World Monuments Fund bring expertise and funds. Still, the suspense builds. Will these efforts suffice against rising seas and urban sprawl? The wall, once a divider, now unites global efforts to preserve our shared past. Its survival hinges on us, a reminder that history's greatest wonders demand vigilance. For over 2 millennia, the Great Wall has endured as humanity's boldest testament to perseverance, a dragon forged in fire, tempered by time, that shielded a civilization while shaping its soul. It never achieved perfect invincibility, no wall ever does. Instead, it wove unity from division, innovation from necessity, and legend from loss. In our interconnected yet fractured world, its ancient stones pose profound questions. What barriers do we erect today, physical, digital, or ideological, and at what cost? Can we learn from its triumphs and failures to build bridges instead? The Great Wall invites us to reflect, to explore, and to protect. Its story is not over, it evolves with every footstep upon it. Thank you for joining this epic journey. Sources draw from UNESCO archives, Sima Qian's chronicles, Ming imperial records, and contemporary archaeological reports. Special gratitude to the guardians of China's heritage. If this tale ignited your wanderlust, like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below.